Good afternoon, everyone. During my career, I've worn many creative hats. Many of you know I worked for more than 20 years for PBS as a television producer. I was nominated 10 times for Emmy Awards during that period. Haven't won one yet, but I'm still hopeful. I've also been and still am an independent filmmaker. I've done my favorite one that I did was on Superstorm Sandy. And I'm so grateful to many of you in the room who donated money to help me make that film, who were interviewed in the film, and who came to see the film, either at Ocean County College or one of the other venues. I also create high impact videos for both businesses and nonprofits. And I'm going to just touch on that briefly today because the bulk of my talk today is going to be about public speaking and joy and podcasting. But as far as the videos go, these are what I call about videos. They tell what your business is about. It might be in the 3.5 to 5 minute range. I usually interview the most important person, and I've done them for ServPro and for CHAP Construction, for Proven Contracting, for Safe Harbor Wealth Management. I put one together for the OCBA, and I've donated my time to do a couple of videos about caring for children. Working with me, if you decide to do one of these videos, they are an investment, but the reason there's a significant cost involved is because I spend a tremendous amount of time getting to know your business, and I will do whatever it takes to figure out what is special about you and your business, what makes you tick, what sets you apart, what is going to make somebody say, that's the person I want to work with for this particular service or purchase a product. And that's really important. You can really work with anybody who says, I'll do a 1 minute or 2 minute or 3 minute video for you. But if they don't get to know you and your business and what is unique about you, then you've wasted your money. And my favorite thing to do is to move people in an emotional way with my storytelling. And I can make almost anything to be poignant. That's my favorite word. I want videos to be poignant, and I can almost always find a way. So some of my clients have had great success with these marketing videos and landing new business. And what I'm really proud of is when I used to work at NJN, one of the first things that made me realize the power of television and video, because now we have the internet and everybody can get their message out, as I did a story about a horse rescue. And the woman who runs the nonprofit called me the next day and said, right after the story aired, we got $10,000 in donations, like immediately. And I said, this is what really makes me happy, is when you can do a story and it has some kind of a positive impact. So if anybody is interested in working with me on a story, just give me a call, send me an email, or check off the little box on that card I gave you. So today I'm here to talk about two other topics, as I mentioned, public speaking and podcasting. And I want to know, does the thought of public speaking make you really nervous? Do you avoid public speaking? Are you uncomfortable public speaking? Because I love public speaking. And if anybody in the room wants help with their public speaking, I'd be happy to help coach you. And that would include developing your messaging, perhaps creating some kind of PowerPoint or video to go along with your presentation. And then I can even help you work on your delivery if you'd like. And there is one member of OCBA who is already a client, and I'm very excited about working on their public speaking. Because it's not unlike creating a story for television or for your corporate marketing videos. You have to decide, what is the point of your talk? What is your story? What's unique about you? And if you can practice it and outline it ahead of time and be confident and understand what your messaging is, it'll make all the difference in the impact of your video. So through my own public speaking, I'm now doing talks about joy, meaning, and purpose. And I would ask you if you want to consider having me come and speak to your group, whether it's your employees or if you're a member of some kind of a networking group that could use a little more joy, and who couldn't use a little more joy. I'd be happy to come talk to you about that. And some of you who've known me for a while may think that I kind of look different now and I carry myself a little differently. And that is specifically because I am done with being a caregiver after 20 years. And that is where my podcast came from. My podcast is called Still Time for Joy. And while I found caregiving to be extremely rewarding, and I would do it again in a heartbeat, it was exhausting, draining, isolating, stressful, all those things, even though I had help from Kevin's company and all kinds of support. I know I've talked with some of you in the room about what it's like to be a caregiver when somebody has a really serious illness. It's a lot. So the podcast came out of the idea that I wanted to have more joy again, and I realized that I had to go about it intentionally. And if that sounds strange, I don't think it's strange. You have to budget time into your week, into every day, if you can, for some joy. And more joy in your life can come from little things or from big things. Maybe you can plan a great vacation, or maybe you can just go for a walk around the block. But we all need a break. We need mental breaks. We need physical exercise. We need to get out in nature. We need to be in community. And these things were all kind of intuitive to me. I had a hunch like this would help me be more joyful and that would help me be more joyful. But over the past 2 years, I launched the podcast exactly 2 years ago. I've done a lot of research on joy and purpose. And so there are really things that you can intentionally do to connect more with joy and purpose. One of them is volunteering. And I know a lot of people in the room are involved with charity work. And there's just steps you can take to be more joyful. And the way I think it can help in a business is when people are happier, they're less stressed, they can be more creative, they can be more productive, it can improve your employee retention. So there are definitely ways where it can translate into helping the business world. But I'm really just talking to anybody who wants to hear it about how to get more joy. It's sort of I'm on a mission to do that. As you saw in the video, the podcast is called Still Time for Joy. You can find it on YouTube if anyone is interested, and you can also just listen to it on many podcasting platforms like Spotify and Apple and iHeartRadio and all of those. So, how many people are interested in possibly being a guest on someone else's podcast? Let me see a show of hands for anybody. Okay. For those of you who don't have your own podcast, here are a few tips. Pitch yourself to the right podcast. First of all, you need to fit the niche of the person you're reaching out to, the host or the producer. So watch a few episodes and see what they're all about so you know if your story is going to be a good fit for the podcast. That's the first place to start. Now, you want to prepare for your interview, but don't memorize what you're going to say. It's a common thing where people ask me ahead of time, can I have the questions? And this goes back to my journalism background because I know a lot of podcast hosts give the questions to the guests. I'm kind of mean and I don't. I don't want people memorizing their answers. I'm having you on as a guest because you're an expert in your area or it's the story of your life. So I feel like you probably can talk to it without having the questions in advance. However, I always will give the guest an idea of the general areas of discussion that we're going to cover because that's only fair. But you don't need the questions. You probably can do it very well without it. But again, you can watch a few episodes and you'll get an idea of how the host runs the show and what kind of information they're looking for. Set up your environment for success. So this is one of my major pet peeves as a podcast host. I send every guest an email explaining what they need to do to be ready for the interview. And 6 to 7 out of 10 times, they're not ready. They're not ready. And it's wasting everyone's time. And so I'm going to give you a few things you can remember to try if you want to be a popular guest. First of all, please don't have light behind you. So this isn't terrible because there's nice curtains over it, but if you have a window behind your desk or you have a lamp behind your desk, so here's my computer. If I have a window or a lamp behind me, move. Okay. When you are being interviewed by 60 Minutes, they will bring in a 10-person crew or more, and they will bring in lights that can compensate, and you will still look wonderful if you have light behind you. But if you don't have a crew bringing in professional lights, it will ruin the shot. The camera on your laptop you're going to be dark. That's all. Your face is going to be very dark. But please don't have lights behind you. If you have a light shining on your face, that's good. You'll look better. So the light should be behind your computer. I'm really hammering that home, but it takes sometimes 20 minutes when we're set up to do an interview when I say to the guest, I'm sorry, we're going to need to change your shot. And then it takes time. So the next thing you want to know is to know where your webcam is. How many people on their laptop or their computer don't know where their webcam is located? Good. Everyone knows. If you have an external webcam you use, like Chad, then you obviously know where your webcam is. If you're using your regular laptop or your computer, it's almost certainly in the center at the very top of your computer. And the reason this is important is if you want to connect with your audience, if it's at all possible, look at your camera. You're going to have a real urge to look down at your computer and look at the host and talk to that person the whole time you're being interviewed. If there's any way at all you can practice before you're a guest on a podcast, the best place for you to look is in the camera if you want to connect with your audience. Have earbuds ready, or wired earbuds, or even wireless earbuds. My favorite are wired earbuds because you have the least amount of problems with them. The host may tell you, you don't need them, don't worry about it, and then don't use them. But I still wear wired earbuds, even though it doesn't look great, because if you don't, sometimes you get feedback. And often it's the guest. For instance, I just interviewed somebody the other day. They didn't have earbuds in or wired earbuds. And every time I asked them a question, they were listening to it through their speakers and it's feeding back. And then when I get the audio, I can fix it, but it takes a really, really long time. So have them ready. If you don't need them, you don't need them. And if you really want to be a pro guest, invest in an external microphone. Sound is half of video production. So an external microphone, you can pick one up for like $20 now, and it makes all the difference as opposed to just having your computer microphone pick up your audio. So invest in an external microphone if you're going to do this frequently. And the last thing about your environment is to test your setup. If you can get on a Zoom call with a friend or a family member the day before or even the morning of your podcast interview, test it out, because otherwise sometimes you connect online and then it's this, things aren't working and then you have to figure out why. And even if you test it the day before, sometimes the next day it's not working and then you have to figure it out. But try. Pay attention to your appearance, dress in a manner that's appropriate to the show, look at a few past episodes, see what the host is wearing, see what other guests are wearing. Again, coming from the TV world, we always encouraged our guests to wear solid colors. I still think they look best. It's not absolutely mandatory. Only two more points I have to make, and one of them is ask the producer or host how they want you to share their content. Normally there'll be a link and you can post it on your social media. Please post it on your social media. Please tag the show, but make sure you share the content. And the last thing is, you might think about thanking the host or thanking the producer. And the reason to do that is it's just courteous. For one, the person who's hosting the show has just produced content for you. Usually it's for free, and it will make you stand out from the crowd. I told this to Lisa recently. I've been doing this for 2 solid years, and I featured a nonprofit that Lisa is involved with. It's a very small nonprofit, and it's one of, I think, only 2 people who wrote me a note after the fact, a nice, pretty formal note after the fact to say thank you. You don't forget that. You don't forget that, and it just can encourage you to have a better relationship with that host, and also they might recommend you as a guest to another show. And I want to know, based on all that information, if that any of that was helpful, I hope, because even if you're not on a podcast as a guest, you can use that if you're doing any kind of a webinar. So that's my remarks, but I'd love to take any questions that you might have about either video or public speaking or podcasting. Yes.
You mentioned earbuds or wired headphones, but you also mentioned an external mic. You're not saying in addition to, you're saying either or, correct?
I'm saying in addition to. Sometimes earbuds or headphones in general have a microphone. I have a separate microphone and earbuds. That's for the highest quality, but certainly a set of earbuds or headphones that has a microphone in it is still often preferable to just having your laptop microphone record your audio.
Interesting.
It depends. It depends how they're built. That's an excellent question, and I have several suggestions. One is, if it's the kind of video, like there are 10,000 different types of videos you can do, but the ones I'm talking about, which give a little bit of an overview of your services and what makes you the best place to use for printing, I believe it should be either on your homepage or your about page. It should live on your website, number one. Number two, you should have a YouTube channel. Everybody in here should have a YouTube channel. YouTube is where people go to search for information. And if you have a presence on YouTube, it's a good thing. So you will have a link that you can take from your YouTube channel, and you can send that link out by email to all your customers if you want. But one of the best uses of a video, like you can put it on social media, but I have had clients who put the video on a monitor and they loop it and it's playing all the time in their waiting room. But it is a good use of your video. But Jess in the back and I have been talking about a possible video, and her potential purpose for it is one of the best uses that I think there is using it within your public speaking presentations. People's attention span is 10 seconds. They're going to decide in the first really 3 to 5 seconds of watching your video whether they're going to continue. When they're online, when they're scrolling, they're often looking for little short TikTok videos or really short stuff. But when you have a group, like if I had a 4 or 5 minute video that I wanted to show marketing my own business, this is the setting that it really is powerful. You have the time to tell a story. In my opinion, video is effective because of the storytelling. I want to tell your story. I want to show impactful images. I want to add graphics and music. And when people see it online, scrolling through social media, they'll either watch the first 30 seconds or maybe not at all, or maybe they will. You don't know. But if you're showing it in a setting where you're doing public speaking, where you have a captive audience is the words I'm looking for. That is the best use of the videos, is showing it in a group. Yes, speech days for all. And that is how things work, is I meet somebody and think that what they're doing is a good fit, and sometimes you meet them on a Friday and you're interviewing them on a Saturday and you're posting it on a Monday. It happens very fast. Doesn't always happen that way. Just really quickly, I prefer to feature nonprofits on the podcast. I often have researchers. I'm doing a lot with Rutgers now. I've done stuff with Berkeley out in California. So it's less about commercial. It's not about commercial businesses. It's more about nonprofits, education, research, that kind of stuff. But
what a great connection.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you very much.